So today's episode is about an appraisal. What is an appraisal? So, Callum.
A pretty key aspect in selling a home, obviously.
It is. So a lot of people that haven't sold a property before, even those ones that have sold multiple properties, they need to get an appraisal done on their property by an agent before they can basically, choose who they want them to sell their home. And then ultimately, from our point of view as agents, we have to do an appraisal that would withhold an audit by the REA. There's new rules in place. Talk us through a little bit about what's involved in an appraisal. So what do we do?
So
What's the first step?
First thing is we get a call or we've approached someone and offered an appraisal,
Yep.
one of the two. What we do now is we will obviously organise a time to go and have a first viewing of the property. When we do that, we'll send you a text and we'll actually send you a link to this podcast, which does give you a bit of an outline as well as to what's involved in the selling process in more details and more episodes. So we'll send that through as a first point of call and then book that appointment in, and we'll just come and see you. So that first viewing is really about meeting the person, building rapport, building some trust, so that we can trust each other, and then we'll have a look around the property. We have a bit of a we like to do things properly. We won't appraise property on the spot and give you a number out of thin air.
No. Yeah, there's agents out there that will walk into a property and tell people what they feel it's worth on the spot. Now to me, that's not that professional, because you need to go and have a look at the property first, and that's what we do. We go and look at the property, look at the key characteristics, what are the positives, what are the negatives, take that information away, obviously, and then go and do some homework.
So that's the next step.
That is the next step, is doing the homework. So going back to the office, looking through Property Guru, looking through the REINZ stats, looking through what properties have actually sold in that immediate area, and comparing what? What do we compare?
Well, we want to compare location. I think that's really, really important, is that you're not comparing an area, say in Richmond, with an area in town, in Nelson. It's not going to be comparable at all. So you want to get location, right?
Exactly, or the wood with Toy Toy. Two totally different areas.
Totally different areas. So you want to try and scope in on a certain area within a few kilometres, ideally, depending on how many sales there are. Floor area, so that's a big one, and that makes a massive difference in what a home's value is. Then you're looking at condition of the home. You're looking at renovations. You're looking at the age. You're looking at whether it has double glazing, insulation.
Size of land.
Size of land. Whether you're on a slope.
I was going to say whether that's flat land or slopey land.
And a slope, is it a good slope or a bad slope? Is it slope because you've got an amazing view? So views are also... Are you close to schools? Are you close to public transport, walking tracks, biking tracks, all these things.
The key selling features,
That's
basically.
Right.
So once we've collated that information, we aim to have 5 properties, don't we, that have sold in the immediate area, and then we have to classify that. How do we have to classify them?
So we have to have inferior properties, superior properties, and properties we would deem are comparable. Sometimes you won't necessarily find a property that's directly comparable because property we're appraising is quite unique. But if you can find inferior and superior, you're generally going to find that you're going to be somewhere in the middle.
In the middle, So once we've collated all that information, we've got inferior, superior, and comparable properties. By law, we have to give a range of value for that property. What sort of range does that we have to give to the homeowner?
Up to 10%.
Up to 10%, correct.
Giving a range wider than that is, what's the point in having an appraisal? Because we're meant to be able to be experts to narrow it down to a certain range where buyers would compete for the property. And it's not saying the property wouldn't sell for more than that.
No.
We won't stop them doing that.
No. The appraisal doesn't sit on the bench when people come to view the property.
No.
The appraisal is between the agent and the homeowner to give them an idea of the range that the property is more than likely going to sell in today's market. From that, once we've done all that information, next step is we contact that homeowner again, arrange for a face-to-face meeting to go and present that appraisal.
So we're probably going to spend anywhere from 1 to 2 hours on that appraisal. Collating all that information and our admin staff also will pull it all together, and it's put together into a professional
Bond.
booklet.
Yeah.
Again, we want to be professional. We want all the information to be there when we leave. So we'll go and do that meeting. So we not only want to talk about property and what its value is, but also other aspects of the selling process.
Well, basically, the way we see it is that an appraisal presentation is like a job interview.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to prepare all your information, and then you come to the homeowner with your findings, and you present both your findings and yourself to that homeowner, so they can get trust into what you've found and for the value of their home, but also get some trust into us that we are the right people to sell their home. So an appraisal is the first step, but also the very, very important step, both in our jobs, but also from the homeowners, to find what their value is, but also who is the best agent for them to sell their property.
Yeah, so we'll give them appraisal range. Then the rest of the presentation is finding out what's important to them, but also showing them that we are the ones that can maximise that sale price.
Yeah.
So if we're giving them a range, we want to show them that our processes are the ones that are going to push them to the higher end of that range, or even over. Better than the opposition.
So part of that appraisal presentation is talking about sale method, and like you said, the process and what happens from day one to sale.
Yep. Yeah. We'll talk about negotiation, how we're better negotiators. We'll talk about marketing, so what's involved, what are the costs, how do we expose your property better than anyone else.
Yep.
We'll talk about, big one is actually presentation. So a lot of homeowners don't actually know what to do in terms of presenting their home. I know that when I sold, I thought I knew the house was all good, but the amount of decluttering and how we filled up the garage from your advice, it made a huge difference.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So just going around the property and showing people what they can and can't do. That might involve the odd small renovation. It might involve a big renovation that's going to make a big difference.
Yeah.
Or it might involve just simple decluttering, bit of staging, that sort of thing. We also talk about vendor protection or disclosure, so things that we have to pass on to
potential purchasers.
And then we'll usually ask the question at the end, would they be happy to sign a listing agreement and sell the property
with us? Yeah. We talk about fees and the costs involved and things like that as well. So I guess from the people that are listening and watching the pod here is that if you're getting an agent in to do an appraisal, expect it to be thorough, expect it to be professional. If someone comes in just with a one-page document or a printout and throws it on the table and says your property's worth this, then just seller beware. Choose. You are selling your biggest asset.
Yep.
So choose the people who are going to do it professionally and do it right. Get a proper appraisal done by professionals.
Yep.